Okay, why are we so small? And where is our audio? All right, you
There you
guys.
go.
Yeah, we got audio. We're good. Audio
The
is
uh,
working. Hello, we're live.
the Trash Heroes
Hello.
logo is like a little mustache for me.
Oh heck, I updated it last time. Let me get the new.
I'm gonna try and look like I'm holding it.
Oh, I see. So you
Yeah,
modified the OBS frame, but it has not modified in the version.
it has not. I have a different overlay that it's not over your face.
Actually, Peter's body is actually a square
Yeah,
that
that's
has
true.
advertising space on it.
We've rented it for this month.
Yep. To
Well,
advertise Trash Heroes.
I can either sit up taller or I can shift to the side a bit.
Oh, it's
It's
still
okay
using
that
my
like
old
Alina made a different
copy.
OBS frame. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
the
it's
wrong
just
one is
using the old
there.
copy. There's our new good one. Now it will not be all over your entire face. No, what the heck? Hang on. I gotta sort this out. We're really professional with this Q&A night. It's good.
There you go.
Is it go better now?
It was and then it wasn't. But I think
Okay.
that's just me seeing on the stream what
I
you just did in
fixed it and then
real
I
life.
broke it. Now I fixed it again. So it's fixed. I
Well,
fixed
I'll
it.
believe it when I see it.
Oh,
I'll
also,
believe it when I see it. Okay, I see
also,
it.
I'm gonna share
I believe
my
it now.
screen tonight because I've got drawings that I am doing.
Woo!
So I'm gonna be fancy and share my screen. Look at this.
Ooh.
We can
Oh, aren't
do
you the
drawing
fanciest?
like I'm some kind of fancy art person.
Fancy as you are pantsy.
Yeah. You get to get like a real close up of my face as I draw. I'm like, hello, I'm just in the camera.
Would you like to see my
Oh, that's
pose?
nice. Oh, we have someone here.
Oh, why
First
is
question,
this
how many
still
questions can
going?
you ask? You can ask as many as you like.
Yeah, we're just hanging out.
Yeah.
We're not fancy.
I mean, we're probably only hanging out for like an hour, so if you have
None of
questions
us
to
are
ask that
wearing
will take
pants.
longer than an hour,
It's true. Why is
then that
my
won't work.
stream not going? Yeah, there you go. No, now it's the whole screen. I don't want that. Just a bit of drawing.
Ooh, cool drawing.
Thank you. I want to do my take on Fetid.
Nice.
Hey,
Although I love the way Jeff draws him because he's just like a little tiny dog, which is great.
did you
And I love Lars.
uh, tweet about the stream?
Hmm? Oh no,
Did you tweet about the stream?
not
Oh
yet.
yeah, I will do that.
I'm just going over to Lars' stream and let him know since he enjoyed sending people over when he was done last week. Uh, as we broadcast some dead air as we all
As we do,
type
as
on
we
various
randomly
devices.
tweet. We're good. We're very good at this.
It's okay.
I've drawn like 5 tongues for Fetid because I couldn't figure out which one I wanted. So they're just all there. I'm gonna tweet about the stream. Stream.
All right. There. I just went and sort of
I'm just gonna
posted
retweet.
on the
I'm just retweeting Peter because it's fast.
yep. I just went
Joshua
and posted
Bacon
on.
asks, "How high can we count in 1 hour?"
I just
How
realized how much my screen vibrates when I'm typing on this
Oh
thing.
yeah. You're on
Maybe
the
I won't do
standing
that
desk.
anymore. Yep. Well, I can count at least to 60 if I count once per second,
It's true.
being that there are 60 seconds in an hour.
60 seconds in an hour. That's right. Everyone, write that down. It will be on the quiz later, and it is a fact.
That's right.
I might do no tongue. I might just do just little fangly teeth for him.
Uh, are you streaming your desktop for the drawing? I don't see it.
Yeah.
It,
Oh, it
it
keeps
comes
cutting
up and
out.
says, your stream is still running. We've just paused the preview to save your
It's
resources.
good.
Yeah, Discord
it
does the
under
same thing
control?
for me.
Yeah, it just it wants to not run it when I switch windows. So I won't switch windows. And I had switched to
There we go.
Twitter.
Oh yeah. Nope,
Look at this
it
little
switched
dude.
again.
What?
Science facts, 60 seconds an hour. I
Science
mean, if you
fact.
want science facts, I have a whole slew of lectures here that I could just give.
Well, it's just science night actually.
Yep, I'll just dive into a 4th-year course and lecture on neural crest cell migration.
I do like neural crest cell migration. Many of them
I think every time
become the
you
gonads.
start to draw, it shuts off the stream.
Why?
You can make us small. Like it's a lot more interesting to look at your art than it is to.
Yeah,
look
like
at
we can just
this.
talk and not be on screen.
Yeah, it's not gonna let me draw though.
You don't think?
I don't know why. I don't know why it's not doing this. Maybe if I do like this. Nope, still stops. What the heck? I thought I
It's
could
very
draw
weird.
using this.
What do you usually do for your let me tell you about my character stream.
Oh, I have it set up differently. So there's no cameras and it's just grabbing my uh,
Right.
Clip Studio. So it's good if
Right,
I'm
right.
just showing my screen, but as soon as I go to draw, it's like, nope. That seems like a Discord setting thing.
It almost certainly is. Did you just draw? Because it oh
It
no, there
back.
it goes.
It
Okay.
back
I'm just on
now.
the delay. I was just
Anyway,
delayed.
anybody have any questions while I try and
You just gotta like draw a little and then switch and then draw a little and then switch.
mhm.
That
Eh,
doesn't sound obnoxious at all.
no, 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 no. That's not
Yeah,
what I
anybody
want.
have any questions about the game? It's all good.
What am I gonna do here? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stop streaming. There. And then I am going to add a new capture source, which is just my drawings.
I have a question for you, Lane.
Sure.
So our party and certain members in particular have I think easy to underestimate ability to screw up the story and do things wrong and cause minor catastrophes. How much do you plan on things going the way that you expect, and how much do you pre-plan on things going wrong, and how like ready for us to just take this whole
Um,
dumpster off the train tracks are you?
so the way that I run tabletop games is very informed by the way that I run LARPs. And the thing about running a LARP is there are, let's say you're running a LARP for 30 players. That's 30 moving pieces. And to make the game at all satisfying, you need to have story hooks for every one of those 30 characters.
Yep.
If you are married to a particular storyline, good luck to you. Right? There's no way that you're going to possibly be able to you're basically either going to have a storyline that makes everyone kind of annoyed about it because they're like, I'm trying to do my thing and this storyline's being forced down my throat. Or you're going to have a story that focuses on the characters who are into it and everybody else gets left behind. Now with a tabletop game, you have a lot less moving pieces. You've got 5, 6 players, whatever. Nowhere near as big of a deal. But the applying the same kind of techniques, it's really, really easy to write stories in bits and move those bits around where they need to be. Right. So
Almost like
like one
they
of the
were
big rules of
cards
yeah,
generating
like
a
one of the
story.
Story.
yeah, it's almost exactly. And so you imagine like the number of times that I've been running a LARP. There's actually like a rule of thumb when you're running a LARP for information dissemination that you sort of start in one place, wait and see what happens, but with absolute plans to like push and push and push and push until the information gets out there. So like let's say one character did an investigation action and they learned some cool stuff about the plot and then they sit on it. So you've got 29 characters who don't know anything about the plot and nothing is happening. So the next game, you've got one other character who has visions, and you give them a chunk of the plot, and you got another character who's investing in something different, and you decide, I am now deciding that thing is now connected to the other thing.
Mhm.
And you follow the rules of improv. Of course, LARP is basically a big improv exercise. So you follow all the rules of yes and, no but, and trying to make sure that you're keeping the story moving. It's really easy to apply those same principles to a tabletop game. So I didn't even start building this world until you guys made your characters, and I
Yeah.
built the world around them.
Because like if somebody
So
wanted to play like a Loxodon or something, obviously we'd be in an area where there was more of them, right?
yeah, I would change either where you got your characters were, or I'd change where Loxodon live in this world. Like the reason I put a bunch of the animal types in the southern jungle and not like where you guys are, and the reason I put you guys in the north is just because of the characters you made. It just fit well for the group. And so the next step for me, again, thinking as a LARP storyteller, was to build story hooks that are going to matter for each of your characters. So I got each of you to give me information about your characters and your background. And we, decided a bunch of things that I won't go into because I don't want to spoil it for the audience. But then I build additional plot about those things, and I just have that all in a bag. And I just keep my eyes out for where it looks like a cool place to hang things, just looking for hooks. And then, of course, the key thing, again, I would say this is a key thing for LARP storytelling, but there's no reason why it doesn't also translate to DMing, is to not be married to anything. Effectively, don't
Yeah.
be, it's just like the writing rules of don't be afraid to
Kill your
kill your
darlings.
babies,
Yep.
Mhm.
right? Is that if you start a storyline and the players just aren't into it, chuck it, right? Or change it or move it. It gets so if you have like a throwaway NPC that you meant to be nobody, and then the players all really jump on it. Great. Now you can write some stuff for that character, or you can take things you've already written that was, I'm not doing this, but let's say you guys really got into
Say a fishmonger.
the fishmonger. Yeah. And you started really riffing on, like, you were talking to Fishmonger, and you're like, you know what you should do? Do you have any family? Do you have any brothers? You should probably like start some kind of
Podcast.
public, like, is
A
any of you a town
podcast. A
crier?
podcast.
A
A podcast.
podcast. Yes.
You just
Yes.
start. What if we used magic to record an illusion image of you guys throwing the fish around,
And you could talk
and
about
we
fish
called that
for
the
like an
codcast, and
hour.
then we
Yeah.
came up with a way for people to participate and listen to this.
Mhm.
If you guys went riffing on that stuff, then obviously I'm not going to say no. He doesn't have any family. Shut up. Go after my plot. It's over here, right? That's boring. I would obviously start going, okay, what can I do with that? How can I call back that character? How can I come up with? I had some stuff going on. How do I maybe attach that character to that stuff? Right. So yeah, I take a lot of rules from improv theater and LARP in particular, but in Canada in particular, there's a lot less sort of people in the woods with swords LARPs, and
Yeah,
a
the
lot
Boffer style
more.
LARPs.
Yeah, and a lot more tabletop role-playing games that have been converted into LARPs.
Yeah, like the World of
Um,
Darkness and stuff like that.
yeah, I mean, I've run a Shadowrun LARP before, and
That was fun.
um,
We ran like 3
stuff
Shadowrun
like that.
LARPs, you and I.
Yeah,
I
and
think
lots
that's
of
just
good.
called hacking.
Yeah.
Is that just not like
Just
low key domestic terrorism?
oh, that's
is-
yeah, I get those two confused. No, we actually built like a matrix. We had this dark room that was all set up with like curtains around the outside that we'd lead players into, and then we had glow in the dark props. And I was running the matrix, so I would go in there and like lift up an icon that they could interact with, and then a different icon would come up and float in front of them.
And like,
It was
yeah,
pretty
oh,
glow in the
that's
cool.
dark
great.
stuff would appear out of nowhere
Yeah, they
from
had
their
glow in the dark
perspective.
suits on too, so they could see each other, but they couldn't see my props once I unveiled them.
Oh,
Yeah, we
that's
made
very
little glow in the dark tabards
Yeah,
for
it was
them to put
fun.
on to go in.
it's very Japanese theater. I think this is a fact and not a myth, but correct me if it's a myth. I believe that the reason that ninjas are traditionally depicted as wearing black is because the character playing a ninja would need to jump out of nowhere on the stage, so they would often
Yeah,
wear dark
yeah.
colors and actually be disguised as the stagehands that would be doing different things to
And occasionally a
move props
stagehand
and do
would
special
murder
effects.
somebody.
Yeah, and that's how you'd like have hidden the ninja in plain sight. Whereas in real
Right.
life, as I recall, ninjas were trained to just blend in with what people in the area were wearing, so they'd be more
Yeah.
likely to be dressed as a farmer
I have
or a traveler
So
or
our
a tall
idea
woman.
of
zero idea.
ninjas is
Yeah.
just stagehands. Just Japanese kabuki theater stagehands.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd heard that too. I think it's true.
I've
yeah,
definitely
It's
seen like
wonderful.
lots of good Japanese puppetry using
All black.
people in all black moving stuff around.
yeah.
I see. Oh, there's a question from the chat that's been sitting there for a while, which was,
Ooh.
"What is your favorite science fact to share with people?" And I couldn't say because I collect them. It's like part of what you do as a teacher
Do we all
is
have
to.
science
But
facts? Because like I got some
yeah,
science facts.
yeah. I got a couple that I could pull out. I think of it as like when you have a big jar of dice. Like just sometimes one happens to be near the top, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess that's one that I want to use today. That's how it
Yeah.
is with science facts. Like you have
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
rattling around, but there's you need to have a reason to pick one out of the giant mass. So I'm gonna go with a pair that I find really interesting that both came from the if you haven't listened to No Such Thing as a Fish, the podcast,
That's a good one.
um yeah, it's
Have.
so good. It's the researchers for QI, quite interesting, the British television program with like comedians getting facts wrong basically is the whole premise of the thing, or like surprising facts. So the researchers who research the facts for that show do a podcast where they share their favorite fact they researched that week, and often they'll share a bunch of facts on the theme of one person's favorite fact that week. And they did one on I think it was just race cars. Um, but so one that there are race cars with enough that generate enough down force to drive on ceilings, no problem.
What?
I just didn't. That just never occurred to me that a car could
What?
legitimately drive fast enough to just adhere itself to a ceiling and like do straight up F-Zero racing. And then on the other side, this is taking like really cool racing facts and making them like stupidly mundane. It's the same concentration of nitrogen gas that goes in like Formula One tires and in chip bags to keep the chips from going stale. Same same gas, same properties, same concentrations.
Okay, that's rad.
So
That's
yeah,
very
That
rad.
makes sense because the entire purpose of that isn't so much the nitrogen as it is the lack of oxygen, right?
yeah.
Because you want to
You don't want to
avoid
self-destruct.
oxidization
Yeah,
in both cases. So you're basically just making a mix that has more nitrogen and less oxygen. And nitrogen is the cheapest gas because it's what most of the atmosphere is made of. That makes sense. That
nitrogen.
makes sense
Get
to
your
me.
nitrogen here.
Nitrogen.
Yeah, there's no, I have a lot of science facts because I teach courses and it is really a useful trick to get your audience engaged in what you're talking about by telling them something cool about it,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can try and cram in all of the less cool facts that are, necessary to go along with it. So I like to get into human evolution facts when I'm teaching about genetics and evolution.
Oh, there's some cool ones.
Um, I always tell my students, for like example, just the first rule of evolution is use it or lose it. Because the big secret of evolution is that it's random, right? Everybody focuses on natural selection, but natural selection can't do anything until you have the random change that natural selection can start picking and choosing stuff from. So you get really interesting stories like the story of human lactose tolerance, right? So, for example, human lactose tolerance is the weird thing, right? Because lactose is a thing that mammals make and they give to their infants. Well, you don't need to give it to adults, so why be able to digest lactose as an adult? Where are you going to get that from as a wild animal, right? You're not. And in fact, it's a bad thing to keep producing milk for your offspring when they reach a certain age. So in fact, the lactose intolerance is the feature. And you think about it, this is why I don't know if you've ever had a dog with puppies, and as the puppies get bigger, you can physically see the mother getting more and more exhausted as they basically chase her down and force her to give up and let them suckle. If those puppies could keep digesting lactose into adulthood, they would probably kill her because they would just keep pushing themselves on her until she ran out of resources. It would the strain of producing the milk
I have to say,
would be
this
a
is the
problem.
darkest got milk ad I've ever heard.
But that doesn't happen because what happens instead is as the puppies reach a certain age, suddenly get a little bit upset stomach when you eat
Oh,
that
their little
milk.
tummies start to hurt.
And suddenly
Their
it's
little
the
tum-tums.
milk isn't my favorite thing anymore. And now you've got other wolves, in the wild or coyotes or whatever, teaching you how to hunt or bringing you in as a part of the hunt has happened, and now you bring the puppies over to the kill. And so they start to learn that that is a food that doesn't hurt the tummy, and the milk does. So they become weaned. And so it's actually a positive trait. It's a weaning trait. Now you think about primates like humans, and you think about the length of time that you have a helpless infant and suddenly it doesn't matter anymore, right?
Yeah,
No
your
human
2-year-old
infant.
isn't gonna chase down the mother and hold them down.
Yeah, yeah, you'll win in that fight
Yeah.
is the general rule, right?
I could beat
So,
up a 2-year-old. Yeah.
yeah.
That's our advantage. That's our evolutionary advantage.
So the
I'm good
same
at
thing is
beating up
true of
kids.
like other apes, right? Other apes, the baby isn't the point at which you don't want the baby to be able to you want the baby to eat things other than milk. The baby is still totally helpless. The infant is still completely helpless, and you can make it do what you want. You don't have to worry about it, pushing itself on the mother. So it's a use it or lose it, right? That's evolution. First rule of evolution. We didn't need that trait anymore. And so different groups of humans, and in fact, further back, different groups of primates have lost that trait randomly. So there are lineages of humans, multiple lineages of humans that have independently developed a trait where they can digest lactose into adulthood. And we know this from genetics. When we look at human DNA, we
Do you
find
know
different groups.
if
So
there
it's
are
something like
any
8 times.
extant primates that can digest lactose except
I
our?
believe so, yes. I believe there are lineages of primates as well, in addition to humans. It's
Funky.
been a long time since I looked, but I think there are certain human mutations they traced further back into other
Oh,
primates.
cool. So there's like
So the
bonobos or something could drink milk,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then
theoretically.
the question becomes, okay, so that happened. So then we think, oh, selection is why it happened. But this happened way before there was agriculture, right? The need for humans to have a weaning mechanism went away long before we domesticated animals. So later we domesticated animals, and then suddenly, for specific groups of humans, the ones that had this randomly generated trait of being able to digest milk became useful. And if you look around the world, you can see the populations where that is true and where it was not. So the one I like to give my students as an example is you think about like in Europeans, in the Mediterranean, you would expect it's not as important to have sources of protein from animals because that's year round, because you can get plants almost all year round. And sure
Um,
enough, you'll find in the Mediterranean, it's like maybe I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's like 60% or something like that lactose tolerance. Go to Scandinavia, 100% lactose tolerance. And that's not just true of Europe. Go to Asia, and people think of Asians generally as being commonly people who are often lactose intolerant. But there are populations of Asians that are 100% lactose tolerant. Tibet. If you can't digest yak milk in Tibet, you're in trouble, right? I mean, back in the day. Nowadays,
Yeah,
of course, we have fridges and stuff, and
yeah, it's fine.
we're okay. But so this is a beautiful story of human evolution where
Our
you get
advantages now are we
to
have
use it or
fridges
lose it.
and you can outrun a 2-year-old.
but you're
That's
you're
what we
you're
do.
laddering up to our D&D characters can order bonobo milk in
Yes,
game, and
correct.
there's evolutionary reasons why it makes sense.
Correct.
Perfect.
Exactly.
That's all I needed
No,
to know for the next episode.
and there are lots of reasons why evolution in D&D makes no sense at all, but that's fine. It's
It's true.
magic.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the blanket rule of D&D. It's
It's
magic.
magic. Don't think about it. It doesn't make sense.
But so in short, that's why I don't have favorite science facts, because I have
All science
whole
facts are cool.
collections of these stories that I
Yeah.
use to teach my students.
My favorite science fact for today, I have a bunch, but today I'm thinking about dinosaurs, is that we know that Velociraptor was a partially nocturnal hunter. It did the thing, and I forget the term for it, Lane, you probably know, where
Mhm.
you are most active in the morning, like early in the morning and late at night.
I missed the beginning of that.
Talking about velociraptors. So, what is the term for an
Okay.
animal that is most active in the morning?
Oh,
And
I forget.
yeah, me
There
too.
is a special term for it.
Yeah, I want to say estivism, but I know that's a different thing, and that's just the only word my brain's giving me because I'm drawing. But they were
No, I think
able.
it's something like semi-diurnal
Yeah,
or
I think
something like
estivism
that.
is when they hibernate partially. It's a reptile thing. But anyway, so they were able to take the scleral ring, which is like the ring of bones inside the eye that birds and reptiles have, and that we don't. We just have a big open eye socket, and compare it to modern extant birds, some of which are night hunting and some of which hunt by day. And they found that they have a very similar ring to a lot of birds that are most active sort of early morning, late at night. So we know a little bit about the habits of velociraptors because of their eye bones, which is pretty cool.
That is really cool. I like the idea that humans have eye bones that are just like big buckets of put whatever light you got in here. I'll
Yeah,
take
we
it.
just got a big hole in our skull and with some squishy
See,
jelly
that's
inside.
another great example. That's another good evolutionary story because eye evolution is one of those things where people try to say, "Oh, it's so complicated to make an eye, and how do you break that down further?" But of course, there are lots of examples of every possible like micro step along the way, and so that whole thing with the eye in evolution, that's a sinking, right? See, there are creatures that have just very shallow dishes with a light sensitive region at the bottom. And so that collects a little bit more light than just a rounded surface with a light sensitive spot. And then there are creatures with deeper pits and deeper pits. And then there are creatures that have the pinhole camera eye where there's just a hole. It's just a big hollow ball like ours is, but instead of a lens, there's just a hole. And then there's creatures like us that have a lens that forms. And there's other creatures where the lens is just trapped uh, lipid. It's like just a
Just
droplet
an
of oil
oil.
that's been trapped in a
Right.
membrane.
'Cause you can make cameras like that
Yep.
where they focus the light using the oil.
Crepuscular is the term you were looking for.
Crepuscular.
Crepuscular is an
Good,
animal
good.
that is active at twilight.
That's just
Oh,
the sound of the word makes it feel like when I wake up late. I would feel very crepuscular if
Crepuscular.
I like got up just before noon. I would
Yeah.
that is how I would use that word. Just on sound alone.
bird question here. I
Bird
impulse
question.
bought bacon jerky, and I do not care for it. Would crows and seagulls like it?
Crows and seagulls would love it, but it would be very bad for them. Any
Yeah,
kind of
because it'd be
salt is
salty.
awful for their
Yeah,
digestive health, so I would not feed it to them. They would eat it in a heartbeat.
yeah, and then they would dehydrate
Yeah, and be very sick.
and get bunged up.
Bunged up just like my little bird. Although
We
she was
had
bunged up
a
with eggs, not salt.
oh,
I have a
how's
question
she
that just
doing?
says chameleons.
Chameleons.
I'm guessing that that's about the eye thing.
I mean, chameleons have
Is the
real
is
cool
the
eyes.
question how does chameleons work?
How does
Because the
chameleon
idea is
eyes?
the eye, well, the eye still forms by, we evolve this pit that makes a round ball in the head, right? Way before there were chameleons in like the early reptiles and amphibians, they had this ball. But then you can take the whole ball and then move it further and move it outwards where there's more ability to move it around,
They moved it real
right?
far. They took
Well,
that
and
to
there
an
are different
extreme.
strategies. There are some very different strategies for eye movement, right? Because we have the whole ball inside the skull. The skull doesn't move at all. And then we have little tiny muscles attached to the eyeball all the way around it,
Yeah.
literally in all sort of 9 directions. You have a different muscle that you can pull on in order to move your eyes in different ways. Um,
I don't
whereas,
like
an,
thinking about that actively.
It's a little weird.
Yeah.
There's some really weird evolution there too, because we have two of those muscles have their own unique cranial nerves.
Yeah.
So they're probably later evolutionary additions. They're muscles that did other things that migrated and became involved in eye movement.
It
Oh,
feels
here,
And
I
like
gotta.
they're both lateral. They're
I'm
both for
gonna
moving your
sketch
eyes
an
outward
owl
away from the
skull.
middle.
Because the other option you got is you could do an owl skull thing where it's like,
Yeah.
here is my long tube of an eye. There's the owl eye, and here's where the light focuses at the back. Woo, like
Yeah.
this. Light goes
And
there.
then you gotta
And then you
literally
can't
move the entire
actually
skull.
move your head because you can't move a cylinder within a skull.
Yeah.
That's just how owls do. They're real weird. That's why their whole head moves.
And that's not uncommon. There's a lot of animals where the whole head moves and the eyes are held
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
And then the crazy thing with something like a chameleon, the ability for those eyes to actually have moved out of the face so that they are all in their own separate cups that are controlled separately from the rest of the head
It's
is a
weird.
whole nother thing.
That's wild.
And people who move their eyes independently, this is another one of my favorite science facts to teach, is that we know that there's no such thing as natural. And then this is a wider question, but we talk about like, oh, when you're born, you know how to X, Y, Z. And the answer is no, 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 you don't. Everything is learned, like everything. When a baby is born, they have to learn how to focus their eyes. They literally have to learn that certain muscle, like thought, certain involuntary thought causes the muscles of the iris to open and close
It's
and
actually really funny
allow
when you
your
watch
eyes to
them learn
focus.
it, because like before they're just kind of like looking around randomly, and then one
Yep.
day they just sort of be like, "Oh, I can see if I do
Yeah.
this thing," and they kind of look
And
drunk. It's very
yeah,
funny.
there's a point at which babies learn that the flapping things around their head are attached to them and they can control them.
Yep.
That is a learned thing. And this is why, and the way this works is you literally build new circuits in the brain as you learn how to do these things. So before you can walk, you do not have the circuitry in the brain that controls the sequence of muscle movements that is the series that you do to take a step. Learning to walk, the process of learning to walk is the process of rewiring the brain so that you have those circuits.
You need like
And that is
a
why,
rote circuit to go fire this muscle to lift
yep,
this and balance like this.
so that you don't have to think about, okay, I got to do this movement in the thigh and then this movement in my knee and then this movement in my foot. You don't have to think about that. It's all part of the circuit. But this is why different people have different skills and abilities, like crossing your eyes, moving your eyes. If you can't do that, it's just because you have not yet built the circuits to control the muscles that way. And you can train yourself how to do that, which is why comedians who like watch their face in the mirror and practice can make weirder facial expressions than other people can. There are people who can't wiggle their eyebrows. That's not like a weird, people say, oh, it's a genetic trait. No, it's entirely due to the plasticity of the brain and what you've learned to do and what you haven't. And you can sit in front of a mirror and train yourself which muscles you need to like raise one eyebrow and
There's a
not the
couple
other.
things that some people can't do though, right? Because there's like certain
There's a
muscles
couple,
that people don't
Yeah,
have and other people do.
like the
I thought
ear
there was.
wiggling.
Yeah,
I
because
thought
I
there was
can.
tongue folding too. Tongue
Yeah,
folding
Yeah,
too.
the tongue folding is a
that's genetic.
combination of the two, but there's I believe it's a tendon, it's an attachment that is of a different size in the muscles between the two halves of the tongue. And if
Right.
it's not, if it's in one configuration, you can't do a certain fold. The
Fascinating.
big one though is the ears, the ear wiggling muscles. There's a pair of muscles on the back of the ear that some humans have and some humans don't, and it's
I've
an
got those.
evolutionary
Yeah.
leftover.
I can wiggle my ears. It's very good
Yeah.
for entertaining small children.
It's the same muscle that cats use to like lay their ears back or put their ears forward. And it's one of those things where, again, evolution says use it or lose it. We don't need it. So a lot of humans have lost it and we just don't
We
actually
just don't
grow
need
it.
to ear. I will find actually if somebody surprises me, sometimes my ears will go back.
Nice. You're a tabaxi.
Yep.
Yeah, I see. There we go. I was wondering how many minutes we go without saying a D&D thing, so that if like a newcomer did drop into the stream, it
They're
was like,
like,
oh, a D&D stream, and they're
why is
talking
it
about babies
science?
can't see good. Hmm.
Talking about
There we go.
science.
Hello, science and D&D. That's our brand.
Indeed.
I keep drawing this and I'm like, I don't know if Fetid is gross enough. I need to make him grosser. He's too cute.
Ulmaris longest muscle in one hand and not in the other. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a lot of the thoracic duct, which is the major lymph duct that brings your lymphatic system back to your heart and blood flow. Most people just have one thoracic duct, and some people have a secondary duct running down the body.
Whoa.
I forget the name of it. Um, it gets a special name because it's always smaller. But again, it just varies. And the really interesting stuff is it's not entirely genetic. A lot of it seems to just do with development. So like maybe if there's more fluid flow, there's more blood pressure during the development of the circulatory systems, maybe that second tract is more likely to form.
Did you know that nobody with that condition has ever been elected to office in the United States?
Really?
Because they're
Which
all
condition?
lymph duct candidates.
Ah.
Good. Good.
Oh my goodness, that was a very obscure joke.
I
I'm glad I
literally
was
didn't know
here
the
for it.
subject material for it existed until 30 seconds ago. So
You've now used that. It's
yeah,
Some
the
serious
entire
humor
yeah.
in.
I'm one of those people who, when a space to make a pun appears, the actual person creating the opportunity like vanishes from me, and I'm
Yes.
just like waiting for that moment
The
where I
pun is
can
here.
like, okay, yeah, what you said, but
but funnier. Here.
I'm horrible. Yeah, this is why I'm bad at improv. Is I don't know how to build a scene. All I know how to do is wait for the moment for like set me up and I'll dunk,
Yep.
and it doesn't go anywhere.
Which doesn't necessarily make you bad at improv. It makes you part of it makes you a certain role in an improv team.
The
Because
striker.
I've definitely seen improv teams built around that kind of dynamic. This is the person who, makes all the decisions because we can't trust them to yes and, so we let them decide a thing and then we build on that.
Yeah. Well, that is a horrible. I would not want to be I would not want to be sharing space with that person, which is why I would never be in a group
I don't know,
with me. But thank you for having me.
Ryan Stiles is kind of like that, I think, in improv.
True.
I've noticed
Oh,
that a
yeah.
lot
A lot of finishing
in
moves.
Whose Line. He's or more so that he will do a setup that is I'm going here specifically, and sort of rely more on the others to follow rather than following other people. He is far more likely to take lead in a scene. That's one of the reasons it makes him and Colin Mockery such a good pairing, is that Colin is a really good follower. So you put them together and you get way funnier stuff than if you have them in separate scenes.
Mm-hmm.
The only improv format that I think I've gotten to work reasonably well is highly specific. It's a friend of mine who's trained at improv and done a lot of improv, Hussein Panju, who does the webcomic High Comedic Value. So he goes to cons with we go to a lot of the same conventions. But he, despite making some occasional comics about pop culture, mostly he does like pun comics. He does not watch pop culture at all. Like he still literally has not seen a single Star Wars thing. Not a movie, not a show, not read a comic, nothing. No
Wow.
Lord of the Rings, no, not a single Marvel movie. The only thing he knows anything about is Harry Potter. He's read all the books, he's watched all the movies, really likes Harry
Right.
Potter. But otherwise, he just doesn't get it. So we do an improv show at conventions, or rather, I'll do like my comedy concert, and then we'll do 3 improv spots breaking up the songs, where the audience gives us an iconic line or scene or something from a movie that everyone in the audience has seen, but Hussein has not. And then we'll build an improv scene based on that,
Wow.
where my only
Wow.
job is to make fun of him for what he doesn't know, and his only job is
Oh,
to
good.
embarrass my lack of knowledge of improv.
Good.
And between the two halves of our knowledge, we kind of assemble one lackluster comedian. And it's a
That's
lot of fun,
hilarious.
actually. And it only works because it's antagonistic, as all improv should be.
That's the thing
That
that I
sounds
love
really
about
good.
comedy, though, is that there's no one right way to do it.
Yep.
I really like, in the UK comedy scene in particular, it's so open these days. There's so many different kinds of acts that people are trying out and that are getting support so they can actually, go somewhere. Like I remember, back in the day when like prop comedians was a very specific kind of niche comedian that was like looked down on in a lot of ways and had to, and you had to really work hard to be a successful prop comedian because you basically were in that one little box with the other prop
Yeah,
comedians.
you were seen as just a gimmick kind of thing, and not a real comedian.
Yeah, you're not
Well,
a
you were
serious
judged on
comedian.
how,
You're one of those funny comedians.
Yeah.
exactly, but you would basically you were judged on, like, you were really hyper judged on how good your props were, basically how
Mm-hmm.
your prop comedy was, right? It had to be a very specific thing. And like I've been seeing all of these prop and gimmick comedians in the UK getting like traction. And it's fascinating to me because it's like just bigger than comedy kind of has ever been.
Well, and
Um,
I think the UK has it's a much healthier ecosystem for comics than North America, and there's so many more interstitial spaces for comedians to like succeed
yeah.
and grow.
Yeah.
Whereas like I feel like there's such a division between popular comic and non-popular comic in North America. There's like I've
Yep.
seen your Netflix special or you don't exist, and those
Yeah,
are the two
basically.
levels.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good way of
Yeah.
putting that.
Yeah, whereas in the UK, there's so many more just jobs for comedians, like the way that panel shows
Yeah.
work,
You can
the
just
way
be a
that
comedian that does panel
yeah,
shows.
yeah,
Yep. Yeah, and just like pitch tiny shows to the BBC or to one of
yeah,
the other channels,
Man.
or
and like
club
theater exists
comedy.
there in a way that
Yeah, like
Yep.
comedy exists as a subset of that.
The
Like there are so
funniest
many more
show on
gig-ing
TV today
actors.
is
Yeah.
Taskmaster, bar none. It is hilarious. There is nothing else like it. And it's
I have not
uh,
actually seen it.
oh
Explain me
man.
Taskmaster.
oh,
Man.
it's so good.
Lane, you wanna
Do you
tackle this
know?
one?
Well, I mean, you might know the names. It was created by Alex Horn,
Oh,
That
the
name.
horn
you might know
section.
Alex Horn in the Horn section.
Yeah.
And it really works only primarily because Alex Horn has this brilliant ability to come up with ridiculous tasks,
Yeah, it wouldn't work without the over the
the
top task.
cleverness of the
Yeah.
tasks. Yeah. So Alex Horn basically, it happened because Alex Horn was jealous about Tim Key, I think it was, winning an award, an Edinburgh Fringe Award. And so he put together an Edinburgh show one year where they just literally took a bunch of comedians, and I guess he did it on Twitter first, like they sort of making fun of this. He would just set tasks on Twitter that comedians would do, and so they made a show out of it in Edinburgh, and it did well enough that
Wasn't the genesis of
they
it that
pitched it as a TV show.
they didn't have like they had a huge venue but they didn't have a show or something, or he didn't
Yeah, it
have a
was something
venue
like that.
and then he
That
had to come up with
they
something that could be
they had
done.
access to a venue, and he repurposed this idea into a show. But
Right.
basically the show is Greg Davies, who you probably have heard of,
Yeah.
who is like very good at playing like
The
terrifyingly
stern
serious, and he's
teacher.
playing
He
the
always played
stern
teachers.
taskmaster.
Yep.
And the creator of the show, Alex Horn, is actually the little sidekick who, and the dynamic between them is a huge part of why the show works so well, because Greg just is vicious in the mockery
It's really good. Of little Alex Horn.
of little Alex Horn, and Alex does the comes
Meek
up with the
sycophant
tasks,
thing
and then
very well. It's
they have
very good. It's a good dynamic.
and then they have a panel of comedians who spent a bunch of time in the lead up to the show filming them attempting the tasks, and then they come in for the live shows and they play the video of the tasks. The editors have put them together, and then Greg Davies assigns points, usually very cruelly and arbitrarily.
Yep.
And then there's a live task that is done to finish the show on stage, and then they get points, and then they do a series, and whoever wins the
And the
series
tasks are
wins the
ridiculous
trophy.
things. Like the tasks are like find a way to hide this pineapple. You have 10 minutes
Hide this pineapple on your
on your
person.
person.
The
Yes.
rules are that the pineapple cannot be detectable, and basically, or Alex will find the amount of pineapple that Alex can find on you is like score. Whatever was left is what your score is, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, the obvious thing is, can I just try to eat as much of the pineapple as possible?
Yeah.
But it's like a
People
really
like
big
sticking it between
pineapple.
their butt cheeks or in the
Yeah.
bottoms of their shoes.
Oh man, there were some good things.
Get this heavy object as far away from here as possible.
You have
Furthest distance wins.
10 minutes.
And like the one person called an Uber.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Solid play.
Yep.
yeah. And some of it is like straightforward, and some of it is like ludicrous.
They're
And
all very
often there's like
silly.
a
They're all
twist.
like not they don't have any point to them. It's really
Yeah.
arbitrary and it's just pure comedy. It's so good.
And the best is when there's a twist that makes it easy, but only one person figured it out.
Yes.
Like there's one where they have to paint the best rainbow.
Yeah.
And they're put into a suit and they're put in a room, and then the lights are turned off. and they're like, oh, I can't see the colors. Oh, and they've got like the suit has like some glow in the dark on it so they can see themselves and they can see
Yeah.
the outline of the painting. But the one other thing that they could see is there was a little square on the wall that had like glow in the dark around it. And that square was the light switch.
Uh,
And there's nothing in the rules that said they couldn't turn the light on.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so it was the one comedian, like Mark Watson, I think it
Who
was
was like,
like,
oh, I'm just
well,
gonna
wait,
turn the
what's
light
this?
on.
Oh, it's a light switch.
Huh.
And he reread the rules. Well, it doesn't say I can't turn the lights on, so I guess I'll do the painting now. And then, of course, in the live studio, all the others are going, oh, you
Yeah.
bastards. Yeah.
It's really
So it's
good.
It doesn't say in the rules that a dog can't paint a rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
a serious question. Commentary is it common for people to try comedy as a hobby versus having showbiz ambitions? I know a lot of like I don't know what the numbers are on that, but I know a lot of people who have tried stand-up comedy because they were interested.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many of them were like, no, I definitely am doing this because I have that showbiz ambition, and how many of them were like, I just want to try this. But like I have like at least I can think of like at least 4 or 5 friends off the top of my head that that aren't stand-up comedians but attempted it at one time.
Yeah, or people who do it for the fun of it, and they're not trying to build a career. They just like being able to go up and
Well, because there are things
yeah,
like improv nights and open mic nights
yeah,
where you can do comedy or comedy adjacent
yeah. And there are
without
a lot of
making a career of
classes
it.
for like I just want to learn the basics to stand up, and I think it'd be fun. Or like you can find courses on that. And I assume if there's supply, then there's demand.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some of that.
I think you see less of it because those people are quieter about what they do.
Yeah.
They're not on the street corner hawking the show pamphlet. And they're not all over your Facebook timeline being like, "Come to my comedy show." So I think you see less of them because they're just calmer about the whole thing.
Just chill.
Yeah, and I also think it does matter where you are. I just saw that Paul in the chat said, I live 45 minutes away from LA, so my sample size is biased. I think
Yeah,
that's true. I think that if you're somewhere where comedy is like really big, like Chicago, there's probably a lot of people who are more into it just for fun because it's not, Hollywood isn't right there in terms of like an avenue for professional comedians, and there's certainly a lot of like small theater group comedy in Chicago.
mhm.
And if you're like, in some small town in the Midwest and there's like a comedy club that does open mic night, obviously no one is going there with delusions that they're going to be in a blockbuster film anytime soon or something like that. One of the things too, like you were saying, Peter, about like the panel shows and stuff, like the US really doesn't have any of the kind of way to make a career in comedy that isn't grinding the clubs
Until you
slash
get a
get
special.
your TV special, and
Mm-hmm.
that's basically it. There isn't even as much comedy live theater as there is in the UK.
And I think there's I think a lot of the comedy live theater in North America is attended by other comedians, or the proportion of
Mhm.
comedians in the audience is higher. Whereas I think in the UK, there's just a bit more of a practice of going to see things live. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, think about like I was going to say farce, but that's the wrong word. What do they
Oh,
call it?
panto?
Panto. Um, in the
Like
UK, right?
that's like
Like
a
everyone
huge
goes
thing.
to
Yeah.
panto.
That's like a holiday tradition.
Hmm.
It's not
Well,
Christmas
and
if you
just
haven't gone to a
children's like
panto.
theater
Yeah.
that's child friendly in general is
Mm-hmm.
like there's just a lot less of that in North America. It's like you would never take your kids to a Broadway show. What are you talking about? That's an adult activity.
That's only for dates.
Any other questions, folks? Any questions about the game? We've had a lot of
Random
interesting
science
I
facts.
questions,
have a
but
question.
not related
Is
to D&D.
fetid gross enough? Is my question.
I
It's
think
pretty
that
gross.
looks freaking amazing.
He's got like mud caked feet or foot right now. I gotta ink the other foot. And
Oh
Nice.
he's got some hat rats. I need to put
yeah.
a rat in his hat.
Gotta have a rat,
Gotta have a hat
rat in a
rat.
hat.
Rat in the
It's
We
Hat.
all
okay,
know
young
that
rat.
classic
Dr.
Rat in
Seuss
the
book.
Hat,
Rat in the
Dr.
Hat.
Seuss. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but don't be confused thinking this is a rat that wears a hat.
No, no.
No, this is a rat that lives in a hat that
This
something
is a
else wears.
small lizard man with a rat in his hat. It's completely different.
Yeah, this is an old rat that lives in a hat.
Mhm.
There
An
was an old
an old woman
rat
who
who
lived
lived in a hat. I
in a
don't know
hat.
for sure.
Yeah, something like that.
I think that's canon.
How many? I'm not curious. How many of our subscribers are here? I see Toad and Yoshi. I think that might be the only subscriber that's here right now.
Follow-up question from Paul Twitch username.
Oh,
Would Fetid be a supermodel if he would just dress nice, bathe, and let his hair out of the rat bun?
now that is an interesting question because that gets at the heart of one of the things that bothers me the most about Dungeons and Dragons.
Is
Um,
charisma?
is charisma.
Yeah.
Because the question is, which of the dozen plus reasons for a low charisma is the reason for Fetid's low charisma,
Yeah.
right? And this is a problem in D&D big time because basically you have people saying, oh, an elf can never have a low charisma because they're beautiful. And of course, it's like, of course they can have a low charisma because an elf can be an asshole, right? And in fact, if you're particularly, in my experience, a lot of very beautiful people are real big assholes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, there is no separation of those mechanically in Dungeons and Dragons. So you simply go, this person has a low charisma for reasons.
Yeah.
So I would have to ask Jeff: is if you washed Fetid, how much of his like 8 charisma, how much of his 8 charisma is due to his hygiene choices, and
See,
how
I
much
feel
is
like
due to other things?
Fetid's like one of those cars that if you put it through a car wash, nothing would come out because all it was dirt the whole
Yeah.
time.
It's just holding him. He's just a bunch of kobold being held together by dirt.
Yeah,
I think
I'd have to ask Jeff.
Ugna really thinks that Fetid is charming for being a small pile of filth.
Yeah.
He's cuddle sized. I mean, everybody's cuddle sized when you're Ugna, so
Well, and that's what it at the core of my issue with this in D&D is that, and this is not a shout out against D&D because a lot of games do this.
yeah.
There's the decision of what the game what the mechanic is supposed to be. There's the goal that is put forward by the game designers, and then there's the practicality of what the mechanics do. And those often don't connect because not enough thought was put into it, or because it was done, there's only so much budget and you build things in a rush or whatever. So, this is a mechanic that's like, 40 years plus old, like goes all the way back to the beginnings of D&D. And effectively, what is charisma? Well, in 5th edition, charisma is persuasiveness / the ability to get ideas across, public speak. Because all of the things affected by charisma in D&D are, for the most part, skills that are basically like people skills,
Yeah. I mean,
right?
in the other game I play in, Something Wicked, my character Mikey has a very low charisma, but they are a very charming character, and it's mostly because they are like the awkward nerd artificer who's like, oh, I don't talk to people very often, and they kind of talk like this, and they've got a stammer, so obviously sending them in to negotiate is not going to go over super well.
Arguably, from the mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons, it should be explicitly stated in the rule book that charisma has nothing to do with physical appearance,
Yeah.
and it has nothing to do with like charm or likability, and it has everything to do with skills in public speaking / manipulating others, or otherwise
but
using
there
your
is
speech to
yeah,
affect things.
because there is supposed to be that separation where skills are learned and ability scores
Yeah.
are, if not innate, then something that's a bit more that like you, if you got knocked on the head and got amnesia, you wouldn't forget to have your
Yeah.
ability score.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but yeah, problematically, charisma. There's never charisma has been an amalgamation of different things that make people good better at convincing people of things that they want them to
Yeah.
be convinced of. And yeah, it's a big melting pot of things. And
Yeah.
stench arguably is one of those things.
I mean, it's true.
in real life.
But that's the issue, right? Like it comes down to there's a whole bit of game design theory that I could get into here that I won't bore anyone with, but basically you can absolutely argue that there are advantages to simplifying mechanics that represent stuff in the game, because obviously in real life things are incredibly complicated, and if you tried to perfectly replicate that, the game would be so complicated as to be unplayable. But on the flip side, you have to accept that there are going to be certain things that simplify to a point of confusion or uselessness. And I think that charisma, more so than most of the other attribute mechanics in Dungeons and Dragons, is one of those things.
I have a good rule system that I use that sort of deals with some of these problems in a different way, which is that the way that I resolve decisions in Dungeons and Dragons is whoever has the most dice wins, and it makes it really easy to avoid these problems.
Huh.
So just anyone who's been considering that, it's a homebrew that I use.
buy some more dice.
Yeah.
It's rough because everyone's got this giant sack of dice.
Oh yeah, we just count dice all session. That's how I play. I don't.
That's
This has
so
been a very
Shadowrun.
weird experience for me.
It's a Shadowrun.
Lester68 has mentioned the comeliness sub attribute of first ed, second ed. I don't remember that being in second ed, but
Oh.
I definitely remember it in first ed.
I would argue
But I
that Fedid
barely
didn't have
played second.
comeliness. He had goaliness because people wanted him to
Yeah.
leave because he's smooth.
Yeah.
That's the joke.
Bleh.
Yeah, I think I'm not suggesting that charisma should be just looks, but I think that other game systems have more clearly delineated the division
Oh, I give him a big,
between sort of
good big chonky tail.
personability as an attribute and physical attractiveness as something else or as a separate attribute. And I'm not saying necessarily that D&D needs to do it. I've run D&D like God years ago, where I actually had an appearance attribute that was separate from the main list, and it was just chosen by the player. I just kind of went, it doesn't really do anything mechanically, but if people want to set that so that we know, oh, this character is like elvishly attractive, superhumanly attractive, we'll narc that down and write that down. And we kind of have that, just in the sense that there are
Yeah,
traits
like
in 5e. So we've
Tromlin
got
with
the
his
yeah,
good looking
exactly.
trait.
His what is it? Not stunning looks, something looks.
Distinctive looks?
I can't
Striking?
remember, something like that.
Appealing
Striking
looks?
looks, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's one
striking
we lifted
looks.
from World of Darkness, because that's a merit that you can get there to
Yeah.
represent, like, oh, I'm a particularly pretty vampire or what have you.
I actually stole quite a few World of Darkness merits and flaws to make my traits list, my background traits list. But
Fetid has a puddle. I assume
Yeah.
just
Oh,
wherever he
nice.
goes, he's just
Yeah.
kind of oozing.
that was Lar did that in his
glorified.
drawings, and I was like, you're just like, what is it? It's a yellow puddle wherever Fetid is lying, and I don't want to know. Wah.
Why is he so wet?
Why is there slime?
I gave him
But
a
I mean,
big chonky tail, and I stick by that.
Like
His
the
tail,
tail.
his tail like drags on the floor.
his tail chonk tail.
But I'm
His
a chonk.
tail is thicker than his leg.
Yeah.
To follow up on that, just I saw
Good for
Lester
counterweighting.
saying, yeah, it is a social attribute. And so basically when I say this is one of the things that bothers me in Dungeons and Dragons, it's the they've tried to address this a little bit in the text in the player's handbook. I think it makes it even muddier, but like the whole idea of, oh, I've made a character who's high social and I'm just going to try and do everything doing social stuff, right? I'm playing in another D&D game where I'm playing a bard, and I'm struggling with that concept. Like I've got charm spells and social manipulation abilities, but it's that you want to go, okay, what is the puzzle solve in this situation? What is the trick that I should try and do with my character abilities that will maybe help us get out of this situation? but it gets really easy to overly go, well, I have this ability that just says I can convince people of things,
Or do it all the time.
and you can easily fall into a trap where, as a player, or as a DM, if depending on what you're allowing, for to be like, oh, okay, well, I convince the monsters to leave us alone, and then the next encounter I convince the monsters to leave us alone, and the
Yeah,
next
and it's
encounter
like,
I
oh,
convince the monsters.
so you never actually
That's
fight
just what I do
anything.
now,
That's just social brute force. Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Or,
it's
like
not
this other
realistic.
thing where it's like, hey, I convince the town mayor to give us a bunch of money, and then we just don't
Yeah,
have to
just give us
adventure
everything.
anymore because we own the town.
And the
Like, well,
thing
that
is
doesn't
that
make
this
any
isn't.
sense.
You don't want to get rid of this because like con artistry is a fun thing in stories.
God,
Mhm.
especially in our
Um,
story, where I feel like we're gonna do some con artisting.
but there's not good. There isn't well written mechanics for it, and so it's not like you can't do it, but you as a game master have to do a bit of hacking. Basically, you have to sort of go, how am I going to handle this? What am I going to allow a persuasion or deception roll to represent, and what am I not going to allow it to represent? Um, and that's an issue with a lot of games. It's not unique to D&D by a long shot. Um, but I have seen other systems that do, I think, a better job of breaking down what you can and can't accomplish with those sorts of things.
I'm
But
liking Lester 68's comment about geckos storing fat in their tails. I was thinking
yeah,
about whether or not Fetid should be allowed to like jettison his tail to escape predators, and then also to eat his tail later because he definitely would.
Oh,
well,
he totally
100%.
would. I had a
He
character built
100%.
around that once. It was in a Big Eyes Small Mouth game. This very anime-based system that my friend was running for me, and I basically made what if Inuyasha but a gecko. So she was like a gecko yokai, and one of her secret moves was that she would like jettison her tail and run away, and then regrow another one later. Still
I
very
mean,
proud of that character.
regardless of whether he can jettison his tail, I absolutely expect him to shed his skin at some point or start to,
Oh yeah.
and then just eat the pieces. Like that's 100% going
Oh.
to happen,
Oh
right?
Yeah.
yes. Oh,
Like,
gross.
Don't want all this perfectly good filth going to waste.
Right?
yeah,
I need to reabsorb
no
those
question.
nutrients.
I
Bleh.
feel like the nutrients needs to be in quotation marks there.
Mm-hmm.
They're really just old treants.
Yuck, 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 yuck,
Ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba.
yuck.
He's so
Oh,
gross.
nutrients. This is where if I could do a good tree weird, I would have just done that. Who are you calling old?
What a gross little dude. I love this guy.
Old treants.
He's so gross.
Jeff and I had to do some creative stuff making Fetid too, by the way. I don't know how many of the audience here have noticed that Fetid's got, actually, I'm not even sure if it's on his character sheet, but he has a subtype. We went looking for like good ways to make interesting kobold characters because the kobold, the official kobold stats are garbage because they came out in an early book. They're in, what the heck is that book called? Volo's Guide to Monsters.
Mm.
And it was a book that came out pretty early in the supplements, and the result is that there's several monster races in it that have been written up, and the intent wasn't to make it playable. The intent was to give it race stats so DMs could skin character classes on them to make interesting monsters. So the result is that they're not balanced to all the other races.
Yeah, that's where they
They
got the
get
full orc right up as well.
Yeah, orcs and kobolds or orcs got full on penalties to some attributes.
Yeah.
I think a penalty to intelligence, which a lot of people called out rightly as kind of problematic
Yep.
to say that this race is dumb genetically. Um,
Because I know
and
you modified
kobolds,
that for Ugna as well.
well, they came out with a better version later
Yeah.
for orcs, but they have not done so for kobolds. So what a number of people have done in homebrew is go, okay, well, kobolds get a +2 to dex and no other bonus. And they gave them a light sensitivity penalty, but if you take that away, then they're basically like a halfling without the subtype. So what if you come up with subtypes and then you can add some things that make it basically the equivalent of other character race, player race options? And so we went looking for some good kobold subtypes, and Jeff is actually playing. So one of the versions is dragon colors. So
Oh,
there's like
right.
a subtype list where each kobold is a
Like
dragon
a
color,
like
and
a
they get
chromatic dragon.
abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get red kobolds and they get specific abilities, and or you could be a blue kobold and get different ones. We went with a simpler breakdown. I think there was like 3 types. One were the winged kobolds, but one of them are like the dungeoneery kobolds, and that's what Jeff went for, and that's why he has the dungeoneering feat
Cool.
as one of his feat choices.
Well, you know
So
what they
he's
say,
basically the
kobold
trap
will
type.
go home.
What was that? Kobolds?
Good.
It said
I missed the
kobold
joke.
or go home.
Yep. You gotta
Oh
koboldly go where no one's gone before.
yeah. And he's gonna koboldly do that. It's not gonna be great.
I think I am gonna hop off now. I do
Yeah,
want
I
to
was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
say we're
great.
gonna wrap
final
up here.
piece, but I gotta run.
We
Sounds
usually
good.
only do this for like an hour to an hour and a
Yeah.
half, and I think we're probably, if there's no other pressing questions in the chat, I think we might just wrap pretty quick here.
I will post a finished version of this on our Discord. If people still want to join the Discord and need to get a hold of me, you can send me an email at wheregeekcomic@gmail.com, and I will get you hooked up.
Oh
You can
yeah, for
come hang
Toad
out
and
with us.
Yoshi for sure. So if you missed it last time, Toad and Yoshi, we set up a special Discord for subscribers. And so far no one is on it, but that's just because we haven't
We haven't
got
pushed it.
contact with anyone to add it.
Yeah.
You basically either have to, you can set it up yourself if you go to your Discord and sync it with your Twitch account, or you can just send Alina an email with your Discord username. Either way, you can get added. And if there's anybody else on the subscriber list who's listening to me currently or in the future, you can do the same. You either go to Discord and sync it, your Discord account with your Twitch account, and then you'll automatically be subscribed, or you can just email Alina at wheregeekcomic@gmail.com.
Yeah. That's me.
All right. If there's
Look at
no
this
other
gross boy.
questions,
Look at this gross boy. He's
this is
really
pretty good.
disgusting.
Oh yeah,
Sounds good,
That's-
Toad and Yoshi.
that's a slimy feller.
He doesn't smell good.
I like the swarm. I like that you're putting in the insect swarm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It also makes him look grosser.
yeah.
It really does. There's a very pigpen vibe from that.
Yes. Our good pigpen kobold.
I'm torn between, you're going with the lankier version,
Yeah.
and I like it a lot, and but I'm torn between, like, Lar did the
Oh,
super
I
chunky,
love
and
Lars
you
chunky
did the super
little guys.
lanky.
I love
But
it.
I'm like,
it's easier to imagine this one using a bow, because the
That's
chunky ones,
true.
it's almost hard to imagine like. Almost,
Yeah.
he almost comes across more like a
Oh
dog.
hey, there's Lar now.
Oh, it's Lar. Yay, hey Lar.
Hello, Lar.
I just
Hello,
love that
Uncle Lar.
all of us are gonna draw all of the characters slightly differently, and I love that. And I really want to see everyone's version
Everyone's version of everyone.
of everyone.
Oh man, I can't wait for people to see the new Glorpa drawing.
Oh God, the Glorpa drawing.
Glorsa.
So good.
It's gonna be in the show intro when we get it finished.
Yes, I am working on a show intro. Hey everybody, secret subscriber facts. It's gonna be great.
I think I already told the chat last Q&A that Jeff has written an intro theme song.
Hell yes. Oh,
Music.
it's so good. It's so
It's so
good.
rockin'.
I
so,
like sometimes
yeah,
will
Alina's
turn it
got-
on just to listen to it because it's really good.
Why don't we show off the Glor's drawing for there's only a few
little
people.
subscriber glorses.
Yeah, there's only a few, it's not subscribers only, but
That's true.
it's still, there's only a few people.
Oh, I didn't
Also,
download
this
Glorse
still
yet.
says that next Trash Heroes is May 22nd, by the
I
way.
gotta change that. I'm gonna download Glorse and then I'll show her on this screen.
Oh, Kaichu said that they did sync and didn't see the subscription. I'm just going to pull up.
Oh, really?
I'm going to go into the mod list and see if
God,
I
I
can
love this
see you as a
drawing so
user.
much. Danielle is really amazing at drawing everything, but also horses.
Yeah, it's still only saying 4 members. We must have like a problem with the setup for that channel.
Hmm. We'll have to go in and see what we can do about the settings.
Okay, then Kaichu and Toad and Yoshi, then just send emails to Alina with the name of your. Oh, and Lar too is also a
Yeah, yeah.
subscriber. Just send Alina emails with your Discord name, and we can add you
Okay,
to the
I did not
subscriber
draw this.
Discord.
This is Danielle's
So
drawing,
good.
but she's
So
so
good.
good.
I love it.
Glorse is
I love it.
mwah.
I love the like almost Godiva hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
I love the
that's like an ugly
giant,
version of the Lady Godiva horse.
the giant horse lips.
Yeah.
Terrifying. I love
For
her.
smooching plants.
Gotta smooch those plants.
Kaichu, we had set it up, we believe, so that the it automatically adds subscribers who are on our channel, but it's so convoluted with the settings that we might have messed something up. But yeah, if you just give
We will find out a way to get y'all added.
Alina your name,
Yeah.
we can set you up. But I'll definitely mention that to our friend that
Good gross
our
little
friend
guy.
Torpedo Bench,
Oh, Torpedo Bench.
who helped us set up the Discord.
He's like a Discord expert.
Yeah, because as it was, it took him like 10 minutes of setting things. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of settings. Speaking of settings, hey chat, how are you feeling about our
Oh yeah, we got our new setup.
stream quality here? Because
Yeah.
we got our new internet.
Hooked up and moving. It's real
Nice.
good. I got
Zoom,
high
zoom.
quality settings adjusted.
Oh, Lar just said that he just did the yeah,
Oh, sweet.
there we go. Lar just got into the subscriber list. So
Nice.
it worked for him. That's weird. Yeah, I'm hoping no lag at all because we've got like literally 10 times the speed.
That we had before. Yup.
So being in Canada, we have some pretty awful provider companies.
God, he is just brown on brown on brown, this guy. Just how
It's
many browns
it's
can I
good
use?
Ranger. It's
It's
good
really
Ranger
good.
colors
He
though,
makes his own
right?
he excretes his
Yeah.
own camouflage
He
from his
excretes
skin
camouflage.
through his skin.
He secretes it, yeah.
You.
Fetid, you're so gross. We love you.
Oh man. So good. So yeah, I guess we're going to be able to do the stream at high quality from now on. So
Heck yeah. We don't have to worry about
do like
drops like we did before.
our stream in HD and not have to worry about extreme lag.
The only drops we have to worry about are fluids coming off fetid. Ho!
Ho!
And also Glorpa.
That's true.
Yep.
She literally. being
Arguably Glorpa
suffocation.
is damper
It's true.
as a druid of
In
the land
several
type
senses.
swamp.
In several senses.
Oh no. Oh no, oh no.
Oh no,
Oh
what have I
no,
done?
no, no.
What have I done?
One of the things that I'm really excited to see for our subscribers once they get on the Discord is supposedly, from what I was reading, the Discord custom emoticons will be usable in Twitch.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what that's what I read, and I'm really hoping that that's true because that's really cool if that's true. Because like you already put quite a few funky emojis into
Yeah, yeah.
Discord, right?
Yeah.
like the Nat 1
And
D20 roll.
I did all of the little slime dudes that I made. So we'll have like an expanded slime emoticon.
Yeah, I am excited to see if what I have read is true.
Yeah. I think I can even do animated ones. And over there,
What?
we can like do little animated GIFs and stuff. I definitely want to have the character emotes. I'm
We
really
also have to
capturing his
figure
essence,
out, yeah,
the essence of Fetid.
as Lar put it, his excretions.
Yeah.
You're capturing his excretions.
Oh, he looks so stinky. This boy does not smell good.
So good. Now just imagine, since your character
Ugh.
has picked
She has touched
that
this
up.
thing. Like, if she wasn't
Uh,
Ugna, I would be like, you need to make like a roll for not getting some sort of terrible disease
oh,
from
Harry
having been
David
near
is
him.
also a subscriber.
Oh, sweet.
Harry David, you also can get access to the subscriber Discord. You can either sync your Discord to your Twitch account and it will automatically add you, or you can email Alina and get added.
Heck yeah.
Sweet. Kaitu says the video is looking real good.
Oh, nice. Yeah, new quality. Look at that
Oh, Toad and Yoshi is
quality
in the
change.
Discord.
Oh, sweet.
Excellent.
Bleh, so gross.
Oh, that is not fun, Lar.
Oh no.
But yeah, Harry, Glorpa is a water genasi. In my game, I am doing a thing where the races, such as genasi and tiefling and so forth, are just variants of humans. I really don't like, as a geneticist, I'm really irked by the idea of these races as to whether they breed true, right? So the idea is that these are races where magic can make a human into this. So it makes no sense that there's like a whole group of them that interbreed and produce new ones, right? It makes no sense that if a tiefling can be a human who signs a contract and becomes a tiefling, that if a tiefling has children with another tiefling, that their children are tieflings. It's weird.
I guess if they
So in
signed like and all assigns and progeny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, my preference is I'm just like, no, there's humans and then there's elemental touched humans, there's infernal touched humans, there's divine touched humans,
It's the
there's fey
Azamar.
touched humans, which
Yeah.
is basically what Tromlin as a satyr is. And it's
Yeah,
just
but there's also satyrs that come like straight out of the Feywild, right? Sort of? Or
theoretically, but they're different stats,
gotcha.
which is why I went with this, right? So
Yeah,
there's the
yeah.
satyr race, but then there's also the satyr from the monster book,
Right.
and they have different stats. So my thought was like, okay, screw that. It's a fey touched human. But it made it more interesting too because it meant that we could have the relationship, without any need for any weird explanation, um, between Perny and Tromlin.
And it's a weird relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it will get weirder as we meet more of their families, who may or may not be trying to kill us all.
We'll find out in the next thrilling episode of Trash Heroes.
Trash heroes, hero trash. Uh,
I
Heroes in
still
the
I
trash.
still want to use your lyrics that you wrote for Trash Heroes because it's really
Oh.
good.
I'll find a way to cram them into to Jeff's song one way or another.
Sweet.
honestly, it wouldn't be too hard because you had a verse section that was repeated.
Yeah,
So there's a easy way to cut the part that's not the funny parts, like
Yeah.
the lead in parts.
Yeah.
I think it's doable.
Yeah.
Oh, we can make it work. We can make it work.
Just don't worry about it until the Kickstarter's
Oh, for
over,
sure.
because I
Yeah,
know
that's
Yeah.
your priority right now.
you got
Woof.
a lot going on.
Yeah, see which I'm a couple days overdue for posting an update, so I think I'm gonna pop off and do. Oh, we're so close though. We're so close. I want to wait. I want to see the. I want to see the drawing.
You're gonna see
finish.
completed fetid.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
real close on
basically
this. I'm
the
just
only reason we
detailing.
didn't.
I'm just
Yeah, the
giving
only
him
reason we didn't
extra
end already.
grime. I was like, he's not yet
Coloring in
grimy
is-
enough.
You just got to color in his rat and his patches.
Yep.
Oh.
I
Hey,
was gonna give
buddy.
him like a
Hey,
card
buddy.
sticking out of his hat. Oh, doggo.
Doggo,
And
doggo.
my wife is crawling and trying to stay out of frame, but now he's chewing on her hair. Hey, buddy.
That's hilarious. Was this deliberately attempting to recreate the UK guy on the news?
That was the best.
Hold on. So she has a Stardew Valley question, and she's now lurking in the
Ooh.
background. You're on stream, my love.
That
What's
is
the question?
my-
Oh, I'm being invited to play Sebastian's D&D game in Stardew Valley. Or
Oh,
what's
sweet.
D&D called in Stardew again?
Yeah, I forget.
Shadows and something.
Yeah, it's very good though.
Ye-
Definitely do that. It's a good cutscene.
Okay.
Yay! We got another successful addition to the Trash Heroes.
I may go play Stardew Valley after this as well.
So we're choosing our character here. Warrior, I like the direct approach. Healer, I prefer to help others. Or wizard, a sharp mind is the most powerful blade of
Ooh.
all.
I've only done warrior and wizard, and they're both good. I don't think it matters which one you do. They're all good.
I mean, Jasmine feels like a wizard to me. So I'm gonna go with wizard.
The
Alright.
beard.
Hey, that's what I was going to pick, says Sebastian. How do I? There we
I
go.
don't know who Sebastian is.
He's one of the Stardew boys.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a character or just like a friend of yours who plays Stardew.
Yeah.
No, he's
Well,
a character.
You can become more than friends.
Yeah, you can romance him.
Oh,
All right.
I see.
Sebastian's gonna be the healer.
Excellent.
I was gonna give him like a
Oh,
playing
Kaitu's
card in
using
his
the
hat, but now I'm thinking it's like a
trash.
coupon.
For filth. A coupon
Coupon.
for filth. And Sam.
No, it's an all-you-can-eat coupon, and like he's been banned from the restaurant. And he's just waiting for his chance.
There,
He's like,
Yeah, someday
I've
all the
got this
pies
all-you-can-eat
and
coupon.
just tucked into
One of
his
these
hat,
days, I'm gonna find a way to force them to honor this coupon,
and I
and
will
then
eat.
then the children shall eat.
There he is. That's our good messy boy.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
He's got like I'm gonna try and full screen this here. Let's zoom in. Oh no, that's the wrong window. What am I doing? How do I make OBS go? I
Cool.
got
We
it.
have managed to get 3. So Kaitu says that there's 2 steps is the issue. So I'm gonna have to mention that on our next stream.
Ooh.
Fetid.
The,
That's gross.
So we'll have to mention in the next stream that you have to link the Twitch to the Discord and then link the Discord channel,
Ah,
a specific channel. So we'll tell people that
that's our
on the
good
next
gross
one.
boy.
It
Just
does
being
look
gross.
like Kaichu says they can only see the 4 Twitch emojis and not the ones from Discord. So we might have
Oh,
to
okay.
play with, we may have to play with additional settings
Yeah, I'll see if I can
for that
tweak with
also.
those.
Oh my goodness, that is some filth.
He's gross. He's a gross boy. I can smell
love-
him from here.
Yeah.
I love that you went with Lars turned up front brim on the hat.
That was my I love that
That's
detail.
my favorite thing about Lars
Yep.
drawing of Fetid.
I like
love
how
it.
Lar draws Fetid like little chonky with his little stompy feet. I love the
Yep.
tiny stompy dino feet.
I think he's like so far has drawn him always asleep. Like it's
Yeah.
there's an extremely I was saying this to Alina the other night that it absolutely has the vibe of a cross between the crocodiles from the Rescuers and Evinrude from the Rescuers.
Yep. I can see that.
That's just the vibe that I got so hard off of your drawings of Fetid. I love it.
There we go. I'm gonna save him before I hit a button or a bird hits a button.
Yeah, before like Meg lands a new keyboard and deletes everything.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
If someone could isolate the audio of Lane saying "got so hard off your drawings, Lar," we can use that in so many ways in the future.
I don't even remember what I said. What did I say?
I think you said you got the vibe so hard off of his drawings, but
Oh, I got a vibe so hard.
yeah, but I'm
But
gonna
just
take
cut off.
your
Yeah.
statement out of context.
I
And
don't
use that
understand
for-
what you're saying. Look, Lar makes me vibe really hard. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
With his drawings.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. This has
All
been
right,
Trash
folks.
News.
Thanks all. Looking forward to chatting with some of these subscribers in the Discord.
Yeah. We'll talk to
And
you.
as before, if you're watching this later or if you're watching it now, if you're a subscriber and you want to get into the Discord and you've not been able to figure it out, just send an email to Alina at wheregeekcomic@gmail.com and Alina will set you up.
All right, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.